Happy Halloween, everyone. Welcome to episode 30 of the Wrestling Matters podcast. Wrestling Matters, enjoy. Hey yo, that's right ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy the H, that E to the A to the D. My name is Anthony Walker, the host of the Wrestling Matters podcast. That's right, it is episode 30. Welcome, hope you're all well, hope all is good in the parts of the world that you live in. And today, we're going to talk wrestling, as we always do on this show. Talk Monday Night Raw, Hell in the Cell predictions as well. That's right, Hell in the Cell. I'm going to give you the predictions for Hell in the Cell that I recorded during the week. Whether they are correct or not, well, I'm pretty sure you'd have seen the pay-per-view to figure out whether or not they were correct. And then we're going to talk TNA, we're going to talk SmackDown, and I'm going to talk anything else that is relevant in this world of professional wrestling that we live in. But first of all, we're going to kick off with the Raw review. That's right, I'll give my Raw review this week during the video audio that I did on YouTube. Make sure you check out the YouTube page, www.youtube.com/AJW Wrestling Matters, if you want to see the video itself in its entirety. But if you want to listen to the audio, go right ahead, because it's coming up, and I'll be back after this, so enjoy. Right, Monday Night Raw kicked off this week with COO Triple H adding a stipulation to the match between Randy Orton and John Cena. And the match that came out, the Hell in the Cell was around the ring. They came out to their music, King of Kings. Came in the ring. Hell in the Cell was around the ring, not fully surrounding the ring. It was still high, but it was surrounding the ring nonetheless. And Triple H added a stipulation to John Cena versus Randy Orton. The winner of this match will face Brock Lesnar somewhere down the road. That's right. The winner gets a future title shot. So that will be very, very interesting. More on that match later on. The next match on Raw was a good way to kick off a show, actually. Pretty predictable, but good way nonetheless. It was the tag team champions Goldust and Stardust and Damien Mizdow, Sandow to you, versus US champion Sheamus and the Usos. 6-man tag. Okay match. You know, you've got two great teams, and Sheamus and Mizdow replacing the Miz. I'll fill it in for the Miz, because Sheamus and Miz will be facing each other for the US title at Hell in the Cell. Did I say Night of Champions earlier on? If I said Night of Champions during this, I apologise. My fucking brain, I'm telling you, I don't know, I'm still thinking it's Night of Champions. If I said Night of Champions at the beginning of this, I apologise. It's Hell in the Cell predictions. Why the fuck did I say Night of Champions for? I don't know. Anywho, I think the crowd are getting into Mizdow's antics, so to speak. And I don't know where the future holds for Mr. Mizdow, but the tag champions and Mizdow pick up the win and beat Sheamus and the Usos. But this was just a predictable warm-up building match for me, because Usos meet Goldust and Stardust at Night of Champions. Sheamus meets The Miz. Therefore, Mizdow was in there, yada yada yada. So, but the champions and Mizdow, tag champions and Mizdow won. Alicia Fox and AJ Lee. Oh God. what is with people getting... What is with AJ Lee doing the job for women these days? She's a Divas champion and she's doing the job. She's doing jobs for Alicia Fox. More on her later, along with Paige. I mean, it was again another match. I hope this feud between Paige and AJ ends at Night of Champions. Whatever. It was just a whatever match, but Alicia Fox beats AJ Lee. Hopefully, like I said, this feud will end at Night of Champions. Now, Randy Orton came out next. You know, talked about Hell in a Cell, talked about his match with Cena, talked about how interesting it's become with the World Championship stipulation in it. Cena comes out, tries to get in his face, and, you know, defends himself, but these two were interrupted by Paul Heyman running his mouth about Brock Lesnar as well. He comes out on behalf of Brock to deliver a warning to the two, and Cena's about to attitude adjust him, and then turns around and gets RKO'd. And as Cena's laid out on the canvas, Paul Heyman's laughing at him. Paul Heyman and Randy Orton end up laughing at him, and then Orton says to Paul, "Away you go. After you, sir." Paul walks. Orton spins him around and drops Heyman with an RKO. Is that a sign or something? I don't know. But, like I say, more on that later on during the video for Hell in a Cell. Now, Rusev defeats Big E, but that wasn't the story, because that was just Big E jobbing to Rusev at the end of the day. That wasn't the story. At the end of the match, Rusev won the match and wanted wanted his Russian flag to pop down. It wouldn't. And then Big Show pops up on the Titantron, and then the American flag pops down. Obviously Rusev's pissed off, and just when you thought he was going to do what Big Show did to the Russian flag, a soldier comes in and gets kicked in the head for trying to stop Rusev, and then walks away. Rusev gets out of there with Lana, and Big Show comes running out during the commercial break and is pissed off and is angry, and that just fueled the fire that is going to happen in Hell in a Cell between these two. Oh Jesus. Next match was Brie Bella and Summer Rae, and you know what? Fuck you, Total Divas, because I ain't talking about this. All I'm saying is Brie Bella won. Whoop-de-doo. Dean Ambrose came out next and talked about his Hell in a Cell match with Seth Rollins. Brought out a dummy of Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins came out with his security and the Cruiserweight division, as Dean Ambrose called them, Joey Mercury and Jamie Noble, and said that he wasn't afraid of Dean Ambrose, he wasn't afraid of Hell in a Cell, and just as he was about to walk in, music hits, and out comes Foley. Yes, Mick Foley. Surprise return to Monday Night Raw, and talks about and gives the two a piece of advice of what Hell in a Cell is about. If anyone knows it, it's Mick. And as you well know, I don't know what caused this, but these two were having a spat. WWE and Mick Foley were having a spat at the beginning about contracts and Legends contracts and that, but it seems everything's died down now because Foley returned to Monday Night Raw. And then all hell breaks loose, and just when Rollins was about to jump on the apron to attack Dean, Dean hits him with his doll and then throws his doll on top of him. Him and his cronies, so, which was hilarious. I can't wait for this match at Hell in a Cell. I cannot wait. Cannot wait. I mean, this match, Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins, is worth the price of admission. Cesaro beats Dolph Ziggler. Now, again, wrestling was brought to this program because these two had an epic match, an epic warm-up, if you will, for the match at Hell in a Cell. And Cesaro won, hitting him with a European uppercut to earn him a pin. And a post-match neutralizer seemed to cement his argument. Will Cesaro win the Intercontinental Championship at Hell in a Cell? We can all find out this Sunday. But like I said, these two are going to have an epic match at Hell in a Cell. This may very well be the show stealer at Hell in a Cell. And apparently, from what I've heard, and it's been confirmed, this match is 2 out of 3 falls, which just makes it even more interesting. The main event was... Now, I mentioned this on the podcast, and I mentioned this last week as well on podcasts. It was The Authority, Randy Orton, Kane, and Seth Rollins versus John Cena and Dean Ambrose. And just as I called it on the podcast, there was dissension. All hell broke loose. But as one thing led to another, and then as Dean Ambrose was going to do his his little clothesline that he does when he gets in the middle ropes, kind of like what Nigel McGuinness used to do, and then comes back and it clotheslines your head off. He tried to do that, but instead of clotheslining Randy Orton, he walked right into an RKO and got Orton beat him. Yes, the cell came down also, and that wasn't the occurrence, because after the match, Seth Rollins came in and curb stomped Randy Orton. Now, there's this talk about Randy Orton being babyface. Is that what it's come down to now? Randy Orton being babyface? Guess time will tell. But there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That was the Raw review. Hope you enjoyed that. I will give Raw, I would say 6 on that one this week. That was the Raw rating. I'm going to break away for a minute, but I'll be back after this with the Night of Champions predictions as well. So stay tuned for that. See you in a bit. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you check out the Wrestling Matters Podcast Facebook fan page or Facebook page or whatever the heck you want to call it at www.facebook.com/WM Podcast. Now for the Hell in the Cell predictions. Now, I'm going to start with my prediction for the tag team match. Goldust, Stardust defend against the Usos. It's going to be a great match. I know that. But I see Goldust and Stardust winning this match. I can't see them losing the belts to the Usos. If the Usos win the belt, I won't be complaining. But I can't see Goldust or Stardust losing the belts. I will see them winning this match. So my pick for that is Goldust, Stardust. Big Show and Rusev. I want Big Show to win, but I just can't see it happening. Because of Rusev and this undefeated streak and this momentum that he's got and this monster that he's being. I can't see it happening, to be honest. I can't see Big Show winning, so my pick would be Rusev for this match. The third one that I'm talking about is Sheamus and Miz. I might as well get this out of the way. I hope Sheamus wins, but I have a funny feeling Miz will be the new US champion. Some shenanigans, some BS that's going to be put on. I mean, let's face it, they've already made Sheamus look like an idiot, WWE, these past couple of weeks, regards to what's been going down with him and Miz. So anything can happen at Hell in a Cell. God knows what will happen at Hell in a Cell. But I want Sheamus to win, but I'm picking Miz. Paige and AJ Lee, flat out AJ Lee, since Paige is going on Total Divas with Alicia Fox. So there'll be no more championship for her or Alicia, by the way. And I refuse to even... You know what? Tune into my podcast this coming Monday, and I'll talk more about that Total Divas bullshit on there. I'll save that for the podcast. Brie Bella and Nikki Bella, my prediction to that match is I really, really don't care. That's my prediction. I couldn't give a fuck. I've got no interest in that match whatsoever. No interest in it. The winner becomes the other one's personal assistant. What is this? Stone Cold and Ric Flair back in 2003 before Austin walked out. Was it 03 or 02? It was one of them. But I remember back in the day when Stone Cold had the feud with Flair leading into him, and he beat him on Raw, and Flair was supposed to be Austin's personal assistant, but Austin walked out. You know, that's when the whole walking out thing started. So, like I said, I've got no interest in this match between these two, and I hope this feud ends. And quite frankly, I lost interest in this feud between the Bella Twins when they had that bullshit with Jerry Springer. Bullshit. So, you know, best for business. Now, John Cena and Randy Orton. Many of you people might be surprised about this, because many of you people probably think I'm going to be picking John Cena to win this match. No. I'm picking Randy Orton to win this match. I won't be surprised if Cena wins, but I'm picking Randy Orton to win this match. And the reason why I'm picking Randy Orton to win this match is this. Brock Lesnar, Randy Orton sounds appealing to me. Now, how is this going to go down? I don't know. But I want to see Brock Lesnar versus Randy Orton. And I read on the dirt sheets early on in the year that at some point they were talking about who was going to be feuding with Lesnar this year. Randy Orton was on that list. So maybe they're going to go with it. Maybe they're going to go with this feud. I hope so, because this would be really, really good. So my pick to win the John Cena Randy Orton match in Hell in a Cell will be Randy Orton. Although I won't be surprised if John Cena does win it. I mean, this is John Cena we're talking about. The main event, Dean Ambrose versus Seth Rollins. And if this is not on last, then this whole pay-per-view is ruined. Because this should be on last. I don't know what the hell is going to go down in this match. All I know is this. It's going to be a fight. Don't be expecting a wrestling match. You'd be lucky you even get a wrestling match in this match. It's going to be a fight. That's all I'm saying. Hell in a Cell, it's going to be a fight. Fight. And I'm picking Dean Ambrose to get his revenge. Cena's already going to be facing Seth Rollins in November anyway, in Liverpool I believe it is. It's already been advertised for him to face, so Cena will probably get his revenge then. But Ambrose gets what he wants, he gets Seth Rollins, and if this doesn't steal the show, I don't know what does, quite frankly. This may go down as the greatest Hell in a Cell match ever. And I'm very much looking forward to it. I mean, this match alone is worth the price of admission for this pay-per-view. Because you know it's going to be a fight. And I'm picking Dean Ambrose to win. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you enjoyed the Night of Champions predictions there. And I'll be back after this with TNA main points, and SmackDown main points. So stay tuned. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Anthony Walker, the host of the Wrestling Matters podcast, and you can now check out the Wrestling Matters podcast on youtube.com/HAW Wrestling Matters. You can now go to Podomatic.com, iTunes, and now also you can go to a new one. That's right, a new site, Stitcher Radio. That's right, we're on Stitcher Radio right now. I'm on Stitcher Radio right now, and you could be too. Get yourself on there, download their app, the Stitcher Radio app, or the Stitcher app, whatever it is. Make sure you download their app, and you can listen to it on your phone anywhere you want, at any time you want, at any place you want. That's the Wrestling Matters podcast now on YouTube, iTunes, Podomatic, and Stitcher Radio. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans. Welcome back to the Wrestling Matters podcast, guys, and make sure you listen to the Wrestling Matters podcast, because you can listen to it now at Podomatic, iTunes, Stitcher Radio, SoundCloud, Mixcloud, and YouTube. Now for the TNA main token points, which was basically headlined by a tag team tournament to determine who would get a shot at the number one contenders for the Wolves' World Tag Team titles. Now, I will go through the list. I'll go through who won the matches. The match one was Hardy Boys and Bromains, and I think you can guess who won that match. It was the Hardy Boys. Hardy Boys advance to that as well. Low-Key and Samoa Joe beat Samuel Shaw and Gunner, and that wasn't the main talking point of this one, because the main talking point was Samuel Shaw attacking Gunner from behind with a steel chair, and Brittany smiles. That's right, Brittany's been involved. I don't know what she's done to Samuel Shaw, but it seems to have worked, so to speak, because they ended up kissing in the middle of the ring, and looks like there's going to be a Samuel Shaw Gunner match somewhere down the road. Rebel enters the Impact Zone for her match against Angelina Love. As her music feeds, the Knockouts champion answers the call instead. Havoc attacks. After dropping Rebel, Havoc connects with a running leg drop. Havoc grabs Rebel by the throat and plants her with the chokeslam. As Havoc stands over Rebel, Gail Kim's music hits and she rushes to the ring. The crowd erupts. Gail fights Havoc out of the ring. Havoc counters Gail, hurling her into the air, up the ramp. Security then breaks up the brawl. I don't think Gail Kim is done with Havoc. The next match in the tag team division saw Mr. Anderson and Chris Melendez versus MVP and Kenny King. And yes, unfortunately, MVP and Kenny King got the 3 count to advance. The other tag team tournament, saw EC3 and Tyrus, Brodus Clay, versus Eric Young and yes, Rockstar Spud. Nothing much in this match, but EC3 and Tyrus won. Will Rockstar Spud ever get his revenge? Kurt Angle enters, contract in hand. He says he added a special stipulation that neither challenger or the TNA champion is aware of. The It Factor Bobby Roode enters first, followed by the world champion Lashley, who is joined by MVP and Kenny King. Bobby Roode vows to fight Lashley with heart, passion, and determination to take away the World Heavyweight Championship. Rude says MVP may have built Lashley up really well, but he's also held him back. Rude says he'll prove that Lashley is not a destroyer, that he's just a man. MVP interrupts saying Lashley is a machine. MVP says Lashley destroys all comers. Kurt Angle says this match deserves a winner. He bans Kenny King and MVP from ringside next week. Then he announces that he'll be the special guest referee. Despite MVP's protest, Lashley signs the contract and we have a match for the world title next week. This coming Wednesday, in fact. Lashley versus Rude. One more time. SmackDown main points. Dean Ambrose kicked off the best show on Friday night, and I use that term loosely, for Seth Rollins for a message before their match at Hell in a Cell. Mr. Money in the Bank refused to come to the ring, instead appearing on the Titantron, promising to summon his Hell in a Cell opponent later on in the evening. The Lunatic Fringe got the last word in, declaring that the WWE Hell in a Cell rivals will burn together, but it will be Rollins who will perish alone. Gonna be a fight. Until Monday Night Raw, Paige attempts to distract her former frenemy backfired after Divas champion AJ Lee hurled Alicia Fox face first into the British Beauty, sending the Diva of Tomorrow flying off the apron. AJ then pinned her foxy foe via a roll-up before skipping away victoriously to the screams and charging of her challenger at Hell in a Cell. Dolph Ziggler outlasted Cesaro in an incredible Intercontinental Championship match after the show-off caught the Swiss Superman with a zigzag for the win. Later in the evening, during a backstage encounter, the two evenly matched foes, the title holder accepted his adversary's challenge for a 2 out of 3 falls match at the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. That'll be a classic at the pay-per-view. Seth Rollins called out Dean Ambrose, choosing to meet the Lunatic Fringe face-to-face with Jamie Noble and Joey Mercury guarding the ring. The move backfired, however, as the unstable Ambrose snuck up from behind Mr. Money in the Bank, and his security detail infected a heated assault on his Hell in a Cell opponent. Rollins was able to slip away, but the same could be said for his defensive team. Ambrose made sure that the former Shield brother watched as he took turns climbing up the top rope and taking out the Authority henchmen, sending a message to Mr. Rollins that at the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view, he may very well be in for a long night. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of the TNA and SmackDown main points. I will be back after this to give my views and opinions on the world of professional wrestling, including a certain view and opinion on, yes, a well-known subject on the Wrestling Matters podcast, the Divas Division. I'll be back after this. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Wrestling Matters podcast. Now it's time for the views and opinions. Now, for those of you that probably like the Elimination Chamber as well as I do, we better get used to it, because from what I'm reading on the dirt sheets, courtesy of NoDQ.com, make sure you check out that website, it seems that WWE has plans to drop the Elimination Chamber event. Why, I don't know, because it's actually one of their main players in leading up to the WrestleMania and that, and given the opportunity. But I suppose the reason being, for me, at least from what I've got, is there's only one title now, and that was the fallout to the Royal Rumble to allow that person to gain a shot or gain a chance to go to WrestleMania at the most. And now there's only one title. Is there any need for it? Is there any plans for it? Who knows? But it'll be a shame to see it go. But I guess that's probably the main big reason for it, that there's only one title. And they could probably go back to the old days after winning, allowing the guy to win the Royal Rumble, get a guaranteed shot at WrestleMania, and then build it from Royal Rumble right the way through to WrestleMania, and having that again, because that's what they used to do before they brought it into the Elimination Chamber. But we'll see, time will tell. I mean, this is WWE we're talking about. Billy Jack Haynes is filing a lawsuit against WWE. I refuse to even talk about that. I mean, it's misleadment of wrestlers on benefit or whatever. I don't know what it is, but it's just BS, quite frankly. Undertaker's taken up a new advisor role, which is amazing. Question is, does that mean it's the end of his career? Probably so. But we'll see. And Tiny Lister, you all remember that name? You probably don't. It's Tiny Lister, Lister. You probably remember this guy, then again you may not, but I'll give you who I'm talking about. You remember Hulk Hogan's old enemy? Zeus? That's right. Well, according to the dirt sheets, he's been calling out one John Cena for being a fake rapper on the latest installment of another wrestling podcast. John Cena, I am calling you out to all your fans. You want to come do reality shows? Take that makeup off, John. It don't look good on you. Be a real cat. Real cats don't wear makeup, John. Get off that reality show. I'll meet your ass in the ring, in your house, and I'm calling you out because I see the WWE, they got too damn soft. That's his words, not mine. Old Zeus, I mean, he was a machine back in the day, the character he played, and my God. Anyway, but we'll have to see if that ever takes place. Now, I suppose my last main point that I'm going to talk about is, or my last view that I'm going to talk about is the Divas Division. Yes. A well-known, familiar subject on the Wrestling Matters podcast, the Divas Division. I am sick and tired of it, quite frankly. Not only am I sick and tired of it, I'm sick and tired of this Total Divas. Because I found out this week that Paige and Alicia Fox will be joining Total Divas next season. So that's another two that won't be getting a title belt, right, WWE? I mean, I don't know if it was the people behind E, or whoever's running this network that Total Divas is on. I also found out it's also Vince that doesn't want the Divas to, or on Total Divas, to be WWE Divas Champion. It worries me that this is the future of the Divas Division. WWE, if you're not gonna use the Divas properly, rather, don't use them at all, okay? Scrap the Divas Division, scrap the Divas belt, okay? Hell, bring the NXT title up in here and use that. But what you want to do, WWE, is keep Total Divas away from the Divas Division, because this is doing my head in each and every time. How many divas now? There was about 5 now. It's been dropped down to 3 at the most. 3 divas now left that can only be the Divas Champion, and every other diva is heading for Total Divas, which is pathetic. Reality shows don't work for WWE, especially if you're combining them together. Keep it separate. I mean, Vicky Earls said this best. Shout out to Vicky Earls when she was on the podcast. I mean, I worry about the NXT divas coming up, or the NXT women who can wrestle 10 times better than 99% of the roster, of the main roster. The Divas Division is a joke. And to the NXT ladies, like I said, Vicky O says this best on the last week's episode: stay in NXT, because that's the only division that means something in WWE. Because if you move up to the main roster, you're not moving up to a Divas Division. You're moving up to the Total Divas Division is what you're moving up to. So best bet, WWE, sort this out. I'm begging you to sort this out. This is me speaking as a fan, not as a podcast host. Either use the Divas properly or don't use them at all. And to the NXT ladies, thank God you guys are around, but please don't come up to the main roster. And if you do, stay away from Total Divas. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of the views. I will be back after this. I'm going to go and calm down, and I'll be back after this with some shout outs. So, see you in a bit.
Be sure to listen to the Sunday Segue Wrestling Podcast.
What?
Every Sunday with Kenny Killer and the Galdem Sugar Shugs.
Yes!
With all the news, views, and laughter that you want.
They like jet airplanes. Woo! They like long limousines.
Every Sunday, the Sunday Segue Wrestling Podcast on Podomatic, iTunes, and YouTube.
So why don't you choke on that, slap nut?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the final part of the Wrestling Matters podcast, and I am going to do some shout-outs now. Shout-outs go to the following: Tim Vicious and Vicky Earls. Make sure you check out Vicky Earls' YouTube pages, and make sure you check it out on Facebook as well. Links will be in the description if you're watching this on YouTube or Podomatic as well. Make sure you find the links and all that. Check out Vicious Rants on YouTube as well. Hashtag Vicious Rants. Just type it in the search engine and you will see it. Links will be in the description for his channel as well. Also, shout out to the following people on Twitter. Following people as well. Shout out to my boys at Sunday Segue. Shout out to VM Cook, King Bingus, Top Rope Elbow, James Powers 33, you know who he is, Mr. President himself, that's right, Mike Rodriguez, that Roxxie girl, Roxxie, Miss Paige Martin, my banter football sparring partner, so to speak, and also ex-Katie Babbix as well. And hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Wrestling Matters podcast. Next week, shout out to Axel Mulligan. He will be here next week to talk Raw and Hell in the Cell. Make sure you check out Axel's analysis as well for the NXT and indie wrestling analysis from the man himself. And if you want more info on that, tune in next week, because I'm sure he will give you more info on it as well. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, it is that H, it is that E to the A to the D, signing off for another episode 30 of the Wrestling Matters podcast. Episode 31 is next week. Until then, peace.